celular. Eso es lo que tengo, pero no sé, está tardando un montón en cargarse. Pero ¿cómo me conecto al test? Pero está conectada, sí.
It's a kind of question, but it's difficult to answer. Some other countries.
And I love your.
Just don't use them.
Yes.
And it always,
It's because can I connect?
it's very difficult to choose people.
I don't know how to. Do you have the link?
No.
Or do you know that?
I sent you the link in your app.
Traditionally, these were not needed.
So sorry for the waiting time. We're just waiting for the first presenter to get connected with her presentation.
Now it's only 2 minutes.
How can I?
This one works on my computer.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and
So this-
Do I connect here? Yes.
It's 2, so
that's the other invitation about later. There's another meeting invitation.
and the underline on this one is 2.
So being done.
And
Just like this. You also have to use games.
Or I have this one with Nicole, but that's like our personal. If you can just send me the link, then I can understand.
Probably also be part of the reference.
¿Tienes el link? De-
I think it's been coming, but it's been very.
¿Tienes internet ahora? Tengo el del móvil. O sea, estoy conectado al móvil. Mándamelo por el. No,
Oye, me meto desde You Secure también funciona.
y tengo que entrar con algo.
No tengo, lo tengo conectado a mi computadora.
50 years ago. And people this country, people think that Seaweed is something that is supposed to show, but you know what it was. It's very impressive. It may be interesting.
I've sent the meeting link.
So I usually,
Parece que sí se conectó, ¿no?
Sí, parece que sí. Ok, los juegos. And now I Now okay.
These are my questions.
Dime, calcúlamelo, ¿cuánto vale?
Ya, pero profesor, lo voy a hacer luego.
No, I'll just
Insights for Japanese transcript to different countries. And I guess the way you back and how to transfer it probably makes different. So we
And if we have like 10 minutes, I know we can do like a small presentation at the beginning. Meanwhile, maybe we can.
Otherwise, you should start.
Yeah.
Now it's opening.
No,
Teams.
it's like nice. Yeah, I can start maybe.
Remember to take the sound of you.
And the language is we have to change things where we Icelandic. So this is what making a connection, such that people always we did the same thing.
And now, Susan, I think it's because I'm clicking and. Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry for the delay. We are having like problems here, but we are going to start now. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for attending to this seminar, this great seminar. Today we have three distinguished presenters. They have influenced many researchers around the world about seaweeds, about food science. And for me, it's super important to me because now I can, I don't know, okay. Because you have inspired my career. Yeah. And maybe you are asking now, who am I? Well, I'm Valentina Figueroa. I'm a seaweed lover and a passionate about food. There I'm eating some seaweeds. I did my PhD together with Professor Jose Miguel Aguilera in Gastronomic Engineering Unit at Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. We work together with chefs and scientists trying to develop tasty structures. And of course, there I explore a bit about the flavor and the texture of the seaweed. And then during my PhD, I had the opportunity to come to here to Denmark. And well, I did my internship and now I'm still here, but now as a postdoc, I'm of course working with seaweed. But maybe, I don't know, maybe you don't know, but why seaweeds is my passion or why seaweeds, why we are working with seaweeds. Well, seaweeds, they're an amazing, sustainable source of different kind of nutrients. They don't need sweet water to grow. They don't need fertilizers. Fast growing. They are very fast to growing in comparison with terrestrial plants. They can be used like an salt replacer in different foods. They can give flavor and texture to many different products. And also, because they are very rich in umami compounds, well, some of them, they can improve the swallowing in elderly people. But there is a but, of course. But of course, the consumer then not eating seaweeds. And I can recognize some points here. It's because the people, they don't know about these health benefits that the seaweed have. Also, they don't know how to prepare the seaweeds in their kitchen. And I think there is for that reason, there is a cultural rejection of flavor and texture of the seaweed. But again, we are scientists, we are chefs, we can work together to put the seaweeds in our table, in their table. We can take advantage of these properties and use them in different food products and in dishes. And I invite you to work together, chefs and scientists, and please enjoy this seminar because we have here Noma, Cristina from Noma, Professor Jose Miguel Aguilera from Chile, and Professor Ole Moritzen. All of them are working with seaweeds in a different topics, but in the different areas. But together, I think we can put the seaweeds on our tables. Thank you so much. Well, our first presenter is Cristina Mejias. I need to read this because yeah. She's the head of production of Noma Project. Cristina collaborates closely with the creative team from Noma Projects, ensuring their unique flavors and ideas are shared widely while maintaining high quality standards. A native of Spain, she studied food technology, product development, and gastronomic science at the Basque Culinary Center Institute in San Sebastián. Her internship at Noma's fermentation department and experience with innovative food startups laid the foundations for her current role at Noma Projects. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming. We're trying to share now our presentation, but if not, we'll go without it.
It comes online, but it's just
Online, you can see it?
yes,
Okay,
but
great.
not up here. So just wait a second. Here we go.
Okay. Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Cristina, and I've been yeah, dale. ¿No sale? Thank you. I think we're gonna go without it. Oh, well, my name is Christina. I've been here living in Denmark now 5 years. I've mainly been working with developing different new food products, always working with fermentation when developing new techniques. And I've joined the NOMA projects now 3 years ago. For those that don't know, NOMA projects is a small spin-off out of Restaurant NOMA, where we're trying to share some of the different condiments, ferments, and sauces that the restaurant has been working and developing for the past 20 years. We share all kinds of products, and that's one of our biggest challenges, that we work with, produce from teas to drinks, sauces, salts, and all kinds of products. So these first couple of years for us is a lot of testing and playing around with many different ingredients, and trying to see what actually people like the most, because it's actually super important for us when coming out of NOMA. Some of the flavors that we believe everyone likes, we sometimes come across when launching a product that actually the ones that were our favorite are not actually matching expectations. So for us, it's also really important in that sense. Okay, well, we'll leave it as it is. I had brought some really nice images from the restaurant, because I really wanted you to see what do we do at NOMA with Seaweeds. NOMA, as you might already know, it's a Michelin star restaurant based over here in Copenhagen. Our key values are around nature, and something that René talks a lot about is looking around us and trying to use those ingredients that surround us. As well, related to that, seasonality, flavor is in our one of our key values, and for us, everything we serve needs to be super flavorful, as well as preservation. Like living in Denmark, not all ingredients are available throughout all the year, and for us, it's super important to preserve all the different flavors throughout the different seasons, so that we have them available in the kitchen. And then for last, one of the biggest pillars on how we do things is we look back at tradition to develop new innovations. So for us, that's also really, really important. Yes, well, one of the reasons why NOMA started using seaweeds in the first place was actually because of this, because in Denmark, during the months of January till March, we actually don't have that many ingredients available, not fresh berries, there's barely no vegetables whatsoever. Like everyone that lives here in Denmark knows that the soil is pretty dead, to say so. So for René, during that time, for him, it was a moment where he was talking about looking into the ocean and what can the ocean bring to the table, no? And one of the most amazing ingredients we can find in the ocean is actually seaweed. Like, it's one of the only colorful, flavorful, bright ingredients we can find during these months of the year, no? So, well, I just shared a few different images of some of the seaweeds that we've been using across. Like, for us, also seaweeds, it's something that it's unique to a place, and it is diverse, which means that it is a whole world of opportunities. Whenever we travel to different countries, we learn about new seaweeds. Well, this was a picture from last year when we were in Japan. Some of the seaweeds and other preparation that they were using in one of the servings. But yeah, and again, I just wanted to share some of the different applications that we see of seaweeds in the restaurant. For us, seaweeds are edible. Like we serve them as, for example, this one was a salad serving, but it could be like on a ravioli. This was actually an ice cream dessert where they had actually like caramelized and dried the seaweed, and they were using it as a ice cream sandwich. Yeah, it could also be the base. And for us, also seaweed brings a lot of aromas into the table. And this one, for example, was one of the last servings we had that was a broth. And when you lift out the bowl, you had all these aromas from the sea, and then drank the broth from the bowl that made the whole experience. So for us, seaweed is not only edible, but it is part of the whole experiencing our ocean season in this case. And in this case, for example, this was also very fun because they cooked the seaweed, and then it was kind of the the way to eat. It was like a foam, I think, like an ice cream foam, savory that you could just pick and eat. So it was really nice as well. But well, these are just some different ideas of how can seaweed be used and how we've been using seaweed in the restaurant these past years. For us, seaweed can also, has a very important role actually on our juice pairing, which I think it's like a complete different application. But for us, when we develop juice pairing, we sometimes need for main courses, mainly something more savory and umami. And actually seaweeds are also a very good way to include these into the juice pairing. And as well, we've been using seaweeds as part of like decoration and materials. These ones, for example, were some images from our pop-up in Japan last year, where we collaborated with a very nice studio that's called Natural Material Studio here in Copenhagen to develop like seaweed materials as well as these. This is a small collaboration we've been doing in-house to try to figure out if we can use our leftovers from seaweed to develop some packaging materials that we could use. But well, these are just some inspirations about Noma and how we've been using them. And I just wanted to talk about how do we use them in Noma projects as well and for developing products. I mean, in the restaurant, we use many different types of seaweeds, both fresh and dried. We work also very closely to Danske Tank, a seaweed farmer here, and we work with the sea lettuce, Irish moss, I mean, sweet kelp, and all kinds of different local seaweeds. But on top of that, one particular seaweed that has a little bit of an overlooked role within our kitchen. Sometimes it's not present in the dishes, or you cannot visually see it, but it does a lot of the back work across many different dishes. Is actually kombu. I mean, I think many people are familiar with kombu. Yes, good. Well, as you already know, kombu is a Japanese seaweed. We work with a variety of kombu that is called rausu kombu. It's a seaweed or a particular type of kombu that grows in a small town in Hokkaido. And what we really like about rausu kombu is that actually the extraction of glutamate when infusing it and making like a dashi, it's actually much higher than other seaweeds. Even though the content on the dry matter might be lower than some of them, the process of how the rausu is actually produced and dried makes the glutamate be more available and more easy to extract. And this is because, well, this type of kombu, they harvest them only in August, throughout August, September, I think it is. And then they lay them down on like a stone beach to dry. But one of the things that make rausu kombu so special is that actually, well, the people from the town roll the seaweed at night, roll it in, and then unroll it so that it dries again in the morning. So they believe that this process of rolling it breaks down some of the structure, making it a little bit more available when extracting into the dashi. But well, this is the secret of Noma. Rausu kombu, I would say. Well, one of the secrets, we have many. But for us, like whenever we develop dishes, one of the most important things is complexity, I would say, in Noma. Noma is a place where you have never tried some of those flavors before. And you'll see, I'm gonna actually pass around some thins of something we call kelp salt. It's actually made with this rausu kombu. You can take a small piece. Just be aware it is really intense. Maybe you can pass it around. I mean, this one can go backwards. Yes, but in here you can actually experience this sensation that I'm talking about, depth, complexity. It's like a bomb in the mouth, but you can try it. In Noma, we don't use too much salt when cooking, and what we do is we work a lot with different condiments, salts, and different products such as these ones that then bring a lot of intensity and depth into our dishes. Yes, so when developing products for Noma project, well, I wanted to put the example of this product actually This is ocean à la crème. I will also have a sample later if anyone wants to come and try it. We actually launched last year kelp salt as part of our subscription. We have actually a subscription model where we have about 1,000 people. These are consumer testing or consumer testing based, but it's a platform where we share products that we have been using that are very unfamiliar maybe, or that it's not something that people can identify or can be have seen before or have worked before. And for that reason, we share it with a smaller audience to get feedback and see, okay, do they like the flavor? But also, is it easy enough to use in a home cook setup, or do flavors go through? Because sometimes for us, the way we use them and the particular way, like Noma has a very standard, or like they have developed the methods of how they apply them in the kitchen, but maybe if we take something and put it in a home kitchen and you use it, flavors might not come through. So for us, it's really important to collect this information in order to make decisions of which products are we launching next. And to our surprise, I remember when I arrived to Noma, René told me, Christina, you need to figure out how are we going to scale up kelp salt, because this is recorded, so I'm not going to say the word, but this is like the Noma drug. This is something they use in every menu. We cannot manage to get them not to use it. And and it just, and these together with other ingredients. But when I came, René was extremely excited about kelp salt, and he told me, Christina, you need to figure a way. We need to produce 100,000. Everyone should have kelp salt at home. And I was like, okay, great, but how do people use it? How do we make sure people know what kelp salt is? So we shared it with taste buds, and actually the response was people really liked the flavor, but had no clue what to do about them. Like people were saying, well, I'm eating it like chocolate, but I don't think that's the, and we're like, please, no, I mean, that's the most expensive chocolate you can ever eat. Yes. Because actually, in order to get this product, what we do is we infuse the kombu that we were showing in cold water. We have two different types, both cold and a hot infusion, and we can see there's huge difference if you either cold or hot infuse. When you hot infuse, there's a lot more sweetness in the product rather than when we cold infuse them. And then we basically dehydrate them until we obtain a salt. But yes, we got it. People loved it, but didn't know how to use it. So for us, that means our product is not good enough, or we need to refine it. And then actually, when working on the ocean menu, we started working on some different sauces. And well, there's this sauce that they put also in almost any menu that it's called like the kelp butter. And it's basically butter and this. I mean, you can imagine it cannot taste bad. But for us in product development, we can, if we want to ship a product, we don't want to include butter because butter solidifies. It's going to split. Also, the stability of butter is way lower. So we need to think, okay, how do we redesign this product that it's already available in the restaurant and it's a staple sauce, and make a new sauce that could be staple, but that could be user-friendly, and that would still drive the product, the flavor of kelp. That was what we wanted to do. And we actually came up with a new alternative that actually inspired afterwards the restaurant to do the dish that came out afterwards. But what I try to say here is that the restaurant actually has a huge library of products that not all of them meet the market. And then R&D goes a little bit both ways. It goes one way to us when they give us the library and when they are developing new dishes, but it also goes our way the other, like into the restaurant when we need to modify and standardize products for food consumption, no, and for like a supply, no chain. Like it's not the same to have a product that we have staple in the freezer than if we need to ship it and make it commercial through like our online e-commerce. But well, yes, for us, seaweeds are like a great source of umami, but also a great source of color. I mean, this one is a great example because in here, the sauce, the base was based on kombu that you cannot see. And for us, it's kind of, again, our secret ingredient. But then a lot of different colorful seaweeds that were local to this area. And well, I mean, again, I will have some products to taste. I'm not sure how are we doing time-wise. I was just seeing here that it's 15 minutes. If you want to just check my, okay,
Yeah.
we're good. Yes. And then for us, whenever working with seaweed, there's also another factor, no? We need to commercialize a product. And right now, there is not that much knowledge about how much iodine goes into the final product. So it means we need to also be aware of doing a lot of testing, for example, both with the kelp salt and the kelp sauce. We thought the iodine content was going to be very high, something we actually did not know. And then actually Susan clarified, because when testing it, actually the iodine content was high, but not as high as we were expecting. It was because iodine was volatile, like you mentioned. So, well, right now we're working a lot with like trying to understand how the iodine and different compounds that are in the seaweed behave throughout whenever cooking with them. No. Yes, so for us, risk we need to be aware of when working with seaweeds. Of course, like with kombu, iodine content is really important, but as well other heavy metals, like when importing seaweeds or working with seaweeds, it's really important to check on like cadmium, arsenic, and other different heavy metals, as well as a flavor for us is really important. There is definitely sometimes in some cases, like we need to be able to control the seaweed flavor balance, no? Because there is definitely an off-putting taste in at least in the European or like Eastern countries or Western countries. So for us, it's also very important to, whenever we develop these kinds of products containing seaweed, to make sure that both the flavor and texture are pleasant, and that the flavor won't be too strong to be like, again, off-putting. And then what else? What was I gonna say? Sorry, I've lost some of with all these presentation things. I actually wanted to talk a little bit about because one of our biggest challenges when working with kombu is all the leftover kombu we have afterwards. And when it comes to Noma, maybe they use 3 kilos a week, which is not that much. But we work sometimes whenever we work in a way where we are producing one product at a time. We produce 26 products, so it's many different products throughout the year. But whenever we produce maybe dashi, that it's one of the products we've brought for you guys to taste, we maybe go through 500 kilos of kombu within 1 month. And 500 kilos of kombu after they have been soaked multiplies their weight about 3 to 4 times, which means that we end up with about almost 2 tons of wet kombu that we need to discard. So, well, I just wanted to talk a bit about how this is a challenge for us in the sense of we have been working with like different farms, actually with Oinsheu, to see if they could include it in their compost. We have done the project with this natural material studio, where we have been testing with, again, packaging, and it's still an ongoing project. And as well, we have been actually working with DTU for the past 3 months, and with Valentina and Susan on seeing how can we actually stabilize the kombu. That has been a really big issue for us, because whenever we pull kombu from production, we don't have time to process the kombu. So it means that right now, and well, up until now, we had to actually immediately throw it out or have someone that could pick it up and do something with it. So for us, figuring a way and standardizing a process to stabilize the kombu in a wet format was super important, because then it would give us time to then produce or develop something that we could do with it outside of our heavily production like busy moments, no? And well, I mean, we've been doing, and I guess the girls will be talking more about it, but we have been working on a lactofermentation process that helps stabilize the kombu, and then hopefully now we will be able to test out if the kombu could be applied or used in a different way. One of the inconvenience of the wet kombu is actually both, well, on a wet format, the texture is not actually very pleasant. So that is one big challenge. And then the other issue is actually the iodine content that it's left in the seaweed. Right now, you are not, or at least in Europe, I'm not sure if in Japan they do it, but you're not recommended to intake a piece of kombu because of its high iodine content. And this happens even though we've been cooking it and like boiling it and and then after reducing this, but in the matter itself, there is a very high still iodine content that we are now actually hoping to test out and identify if we can develop certain methods to remove or to at least reduce the amount of iodine present in the kombu so that it could potentially become as well an edible product and not only materials, which again, materials is great as a second option, but it would be great if it could be edible as well. So, but well, thank you so much for your time and for your, for everyone coming over. And again, I would love to pass on some samples for you to try. I've brought, Nicole, ¿tú quieres ayudarme?
Yes.
I'm actually going to pass some spoons. Maybe if you can keep it, we will pass 2 different samples for you to try. If you can put a spoon and the next one. Yes, so we're going to try 2 different things. The kelp salt, that is one of the products that we have developed now using kelp salt, and seems to have a much better how do you say it? Reception, like in the sense of people really now like the product and seem to be able to use it as well. And then what Nicole is actually passing by is something that we call dashi reduction. And the dashi reduction was actually a product that we brought out of Japan. It was a product we released after spending a month or so in Japan. And it was also to be able to share a little bit of some of the flavors that people had been tasting and the ingredients that had been used throughout the pop-up.
Is there any oil in this last one?
Yes.
What kind of oil?
This one is a koji oil that we make. Yes. So in here, this is kelp salt that we emulsify, we dilute in a jar, and then
That's something that you have to do.
and then emulsify with an oil. Yes.
Yeah.
I will start maybe from there. Have you tried already this?
That one, yes.
This is the product that's from And also something very important, like from the product that you're tasting right now, is we don't use any like additives, so we try to both stabilize and our products using natural ingredients. So for example, in the case of the sauce, the one I'm serving, we only used powderized kombu as a emulsifier and stabilizer for the product. Yeah, these are actually some of the products we sell. Kelp sauce, we just ran out of it because we had a small event going on last week. We actually participated in the event called 3 Days of Design, where we actually made the well about it.
Which one did you try?
Sorry? What? No, I don't have. If you want to go and get. Yeah, you can get up and.
So I could hear somebody ask if it was possible to ask questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, was that you?
Yes. For Christina was.
Yeah, so here. Just a few seconds. That's also online. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jose has a question?
Yeah, still.
No, Christina, in fact, I have two questions. What do Japanese do with the kombu
Yeah.
leftover? What do Japanese do with that?
So we've seen that sometimes they use the leftover kombu. They cook it sometimes with soya sauce and other condiments and chop it, and they use it for like toppings on like rice bowls as well. But again, in Europe, we're like, and right now the way our kombu is looking after cooking, the iodine content is too high. And actually, one of the things we were talking with, and actually was Susan that told us about it, is that when consuming the kombu together with soya sauce, the soya sauce like avoids the absorption of the iodine. So there's also a very big like cultural way of eating seaweed that also prevents the absorption of some of the minerals, and in this case, like pairing it with soya sauce. So yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I also heard from someone that there was also something related to the thyroid, thyroid on Asian people that absorb less iodine than Western people.
One of you had a question?
Yes.
Now you took the question, but I actually have a sample.
Yeah.
I'll bring it out later, which is kombu kudani, which is an example of how the Japanese use the leftover.
Yes.
There's a whole arsenal, hundreds of different kinds
Products.
you
Yeah.
can see in the market, and people use them, as you say, to
Yeah.
make rice edibles.
Yes,
Yeah.
we also saw that they were using, and we've been testing, because again, some of the girls that are actually in the back, maybe you girls can raise the hand so that people can see you. They have been also working on different ways of applying, and we have also been looking at how it has been done in either Japan or Korea or other countries, and trying to imitate some of these products with like a European flavors maybe. And one of the things was candies, also like wine candies, that they make these, they stick 2-3 layers of seaweed and then put them or preserve them in rice flour, and it's like a gummy.
It's also used for salads, and even the Russians do that with the
Yeah.
leftover kombu. Maybe you want to look into that, but
Yeah,
iodine,
definitely.
iodine is a critical issue.
It is a huge
But
issue.
maybe if the soy sauce do something, maybe you have a trick, because quite often soy sauce is added in the Japanese cuisine.
Yes.
Now, you said it has unpleasant texture.
Yes.
I think it has a pleasant texture.
I mean, at least when sharing it, because we've also been working with doing, like, for example, kimchi on as well, and other different products using kombu as or like different preserves, lactoferments with it. And one of the at least feedback we get from outside people was that like maybe the texture wasn't as pleasant, or like that the bite of seaweed maybe feels a little bit strange to them. I feel like from all the seaweeds that we work with, like if we look at the sea lettuce that maybe is a little bit thinner, or like the dulce, the sol, yeah, that one is also slightly thinner. The kombu and even wet without any dehydration, because we've been testing with some like dehydration processes that improves a lot mouthfeel and texture. People tend to be a little bit more critical with the texture of kombu.
For the thin one, or the
No, for the thicker one.
Okay.
Yeah, at least from our experience. But again, actually, only by doing the lactofermentation process, applying it into the seaweed, we already see a huge change of texture and making it a bit more pleasant. Yeah.
There's also in the chat, so Stefan Khan has a question.
Yeah.
Indeed, thanks for this presentation. Very interesting. Just on the iodine, you say yourself with the kombu or the saccharina, it's a big issue, and it's why we as a company have run a mile from saccharina because of the high iodine levels, and we work with putare, the winged kelp, Alaria esculenta, and there you only have around 700 to 800 ppm iodine in your dry weight. And it is much easier to use in food products at a higher level without running into issues. Have you ever thought of that?
Yes, I mean, we have been testing actually with 2 or 3 different producers of in Denmark of seaweed, and trying to test out different seaweeds to see if we could substitute one for another. My personal experience is flavor-wise, it does not bring the same thing. And for me, I think this can be like a huge challenge that if someone wants to work on, I think it could be very fun, because I think there's also a factor of a tradition of how the seaweed is actually processed afterwards. That makes a really huge difference. When we have been testing, at least with the Danish seaweeds that we have been testing, we tested even from salt to different laminarias, and it's just the flavor is incomparable. The result, the minerals we extract and the salts we can get, or even on a dashi format. We did a huge testing for this was one of the first products we launched with kombu, and we went through a whole research to try to substitute kombu for other types of seaweeds that were locally grown here, and we just couldn't get the same flavor.
But did you test browns or just any other types of seaweed? Because that makes a big
No,
difference.
we also tested browns.
Okay.
And as well, also sol aside, that one was the only one that was not a brown seaweed that we also tested with.
The Palmania. Yeah, and on the lacto
But if you have any
fermentation,
samples that you think we should try, definitely send them over.
well, as you can see, I'm cleaning Gondrus while we have this Irish moss, while we have this discussion here. But on the lacto fermentation as well, because you do probably small batches, like a few kilos in a jar and this kind of stuff.
We work with like 300 kilos at a time or something like that.
But we have to preserve 10 to 50 tons of this kind of stuff. And with lacto fermentation, often you get failure because it is such large scale and air is coming in and stuff like that. Have you ever thought of just acidifying it with citric acid or formic acid?
I mean, you can even use salt to stop growth, as well as vinegar even.
Yeah. Now salt, that is what the French do mostly.
I think vinegar is a really good, like whenever you need to work with like very active, like microbially active product, vinegar tends to be a very effective way to stop any pathogen from growing.
Okay.
Thank you, Stefan. We move on to Pranny. Pranny has a question.
But if you want to send any questions, I'll leave my email in the end.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Christine. Lovely presentation. I just noticed in your first image that you had what looked like polyschides or furbelows in the photograph. And was that just for decoration, or do you
actually? I think the first one was only for decoration.
Only for decoration. Does anybody use it?
I would need to ask if they have been using that one particularly.
Okay, thank
you.
Because
actually we work, and if you are interested in seaweeds, I think someone that is very knowledgeable in and I'll leave his his Instagram account at least, is a guy that's called Shui in Japan. He works for like a seaweed company, and he has been one of our consultants when we were traveling in Japan to like collect all kinds of seaweeds, and it was like the most incredible experience ever. Like, he brought all kinds of seaweeds and knew so much about them. Like I remember we had this dish where people were boiling the seaweed, and he brought I don't remember exactly which seaweed was the name, but well, it was a brown seaweed, and when boiling it, the color turned like green, but green, super bright green, and it was like just such a visual experience. But I'll leave his contact so you can check in, because those were some of the seaweeds that he brought to us in Japan.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you. And then there's Alicia Belgrove from Australia. So
Hi there, folks. Yeah.
Now, but not Australia. Yeah.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Alicia Belgrove and I lead the Deakin Seaweed team here at Deakin University in Australia. And so I have obviously background and expertise in seaweed, but I also lived and worked in Japan for a long period of time, and I have married a Japanese chef conveniently. So seaweed is a daily part of my diet. So I have a question first, just for clarification, and then a couple of comments leading up to your great presentation, Christina. And I guess firstly, I'm super jealous that I'm not there to actually taste your morsels that you're sharing around. So firstly, can I just clarify? I think you said that your kelp salt is produced from basically dehydrating a hot infusion of like dashi, kelp kombu dashi. Is that correct?
Kind of. We do two different types of kelp salt. We do something that we called raw kelp salt, that it's the one everyone was trying today. That's only a cold infusion of kombu. We leave it for about 24 hours and then strain it out, and then it's basically just the dehydration of it. We do most of the reduction first on big stove, and then once it's reduced to like about 1/5, 1/6 of its initial volume, then we do slower dehydration.
So what sort of yield do you get from both the cold and the hot?
So from
like after the dehydration, in terms of the amount of kombu you put in, for example, to how much salt you end up with, it must be extraordinarily small amount, I would think.
But surprisingly, so from 15 kilos, we usually get around 7 kilos of kelp salt. So it's much more than what you would expect, I would say.
And did you say the hot infusion is?
But I think it's not only salt, because there's definitely some kind of like either carbohydrates, peptides, or other stuff that are diluting into the. But I promise it. She's the stock manager, like she does all the yield control, and
yeah, there'll be multiple compounds in there, I would imagine. But did you say that you get a better yield or a better taste from the hot infusion versus the cold?
We use them both equally, and it depends for what we want to use them, that we use one or the other. The other one, we actually call them roasted kombu, roasted kelp salt. We actually roast some of it first, and then we do a hot infusion, and both the roasting changes completely. You end up with almost like a chocolate coffee licorice flavor, and then with the hot infusion you get you extract a lot more sweetness from the kombu for some reason, and it ends up being almost a little bit sweet as well.
And I guess just then a comment on a couple of comments. One in relation to the way that the Japanese are using the kombu. Obviously, after they make the dashi, but which is the most common use of kombu. But then there are various ways that they then use the biomass afterwards. But it's always small scale. And I guess the key point there in relation to iodine concentration and potential iodine consumption is that in an average meal, you are eating kombu regularly, but only in a very small amount. So, and there are multiple ways that might be incorporated into sort of a traditional dinner, in addition to the ways that you talked about, for example, the gum lollies and pickled as beer snacks and all those sorts of things. And there are chips, but again, they're very small amounts. So I think portion control is super important when you're talking about consumption of the actual kombu tissue, but then also understanding the effect of that processing on the resultant iodine. And in following on from that, I've actually, in my recent trip to Japan, I actually went to a kombu producer, up in Hokkaido, to the kombu producers, and one of the businesses there involved in processing it, and he's actually worked out a way. It's under patent, so he couldn't tell me any of the details, but he's been able to reduce the iodine content in the makombu, which is the most common kombu, sort of most ubiquitous, particularly used for dashi, from the Hakodate area in southern Hokkaido. And he's been able to reduce it, I think he said, to 1/5 of the the base level of iodine content. And he's specifically done that for the Australian market, import market, because of the sort of concerns around iodine content there. So I don't know the details of how he's done it, but he said it was actually in the end, pretty easy way to, pretty simple process.
It's super interesting.
Yeah, I think the post-processing, but also the cooking and the way you actually cook the seaweeds can have a big impact on the iodine, as well as, the other mineral metal composition, I think.
Definitely. I mean, that is something that we're actually working with Valentina to try to track down how different cookings and different processings change, and try to track, because as well we didn't know, or I didn't know particularly, that iodine was volatile and that it would actually disappear for both the broth and the dried matter, so that we couldn't actually track it. But yeah,
we will track the.
So there's one last question online, and we also need a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
So Katarina.
Yeah, thank you. I would skip any introduction. I will just ask my question so it's faster. Now the iodine has been talked over as a problem component, but have you had any consideration of using the iodine as a resource to maybe split off and sell it separately, or sell an iodine-enriched product? I'm asking from the background that I grew up in Germany, and there the salt has added iodine to make sure the population actually gets enough iodine. Is that something considered?
I mean, it's not something that as a company we have considered, in the sense of.
Can you turn off your microphone? Thank you.
Yeah, we are not considering in the sense of making like a supplement. Also, the amount of 1 gram of salt. The salt in general in all Europe, it's enriched with iodine, because we don't consume enough sea products on a daily basis. But the intake of 1 gram of kombu actually has way more. I think it's more than 3 times the recommended intake of iodine on a daily basis. I think it was 2,000 milligrams per gram on the kombu, if I don't remember. I mean, this is on top of my head.
Per kilogram.
Per kilo? Or per kilo. Yeah. But the recommended intake is 600 milligrams a day, I think. Micrograms. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, but we have to end it here, and but please hold on. We'll be back with Jose.
5 minutes.
In 5 minutes time?
Yeah, I think in.
Or 5
5
minutes
past.
5 minutes past 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to get the thing
Set up.
uploaded and.
Now 10 minutes of
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. No, ha habido un momento que ya no sabía ni de qué.
Sí, sí, sí.
Empezaba.
Igual. Aparte, igual hace calor acá adentro.
Den danske tang, som jo er den der den anbefalede taskeparti fra Frankrig, men der er jo ikke nogen taskeparti ellers. Nå, men som svenske har været på mellemting, og færøske og grønland, så
Seguimos.
Sí, ahí está cerrado.
kommer ikke. Altså, man kan ikke sige, at vi bliver reduceret med 90%, fordi de danske bliver ikke reduceret med 95%. Så
Bien, profe, a ver, continuemos. Sí, voy a compartir esta.
nej, det er bare 100. Ja.
¿Se ve?
I got lost. That's crazy.
Where is the pen drive?
In a different building.
¿Cuál es?
Ah, pero no tiene nada.
Okay.
Se llama.
Stop the recording, just a second, I'll stop the recording and start it again.
But I was sharing. Yeah, no, but if you share because I'm sharing like the.
But what do you want? Do you want to share?
We've also had
Yeah,
all kinds of
share.
technical issues today. Okay.
Replace the seaweed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the
The seaweed in Chile, algo así. Yes.
But did you
So you
stop
already-
recording? Or?
Yes, I stopped the recording right now, but we'll start it again. Because
Okay.
otherwise the files become so huge.
Yeah. No, but I think it's continue recording. If you see here,
I should stop, maybe I need to.
or maybe we can silence.
Yes, browser combo. So it's, we call it a helper, but it is like an extraction of the browser combo, and we dehydrate them to crystallize it.